mushy and wet, with all the breakup and the snow and all that sort of stuff. But my God, the sun right now is just beautifully shining. It is wonderful. So yeah, I'm loving that quite a bit. But yeah, just
Sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. We were talking a little bit before we started rolling about how not really paying attention to politics since Biden's taken over, and how, like, really things are, like, calm, Like, there's not something, like, every day that you just get riled up and fucking angry about. Although, like, Biden is so freaking... He's hard to watch, man. He's just so old, and he's, like, saying things that he should be able to say off the top of his head, but all he can do is, like, he's just reading notes the whole time. And you can tell, like, every 3 words he forgets what the fuck he's talking about, and he needs to look back down and, like, figure it out. Now, like, I'm all about what he's trying to do, like, to some extent, but man, is he hard to watch. And not that it makes me wish for Trump, but I do think to myself, I didn't ever really have much trouble finishing a Trump press conference because there was always something fucking crazy that we were waiting to see happen.
Well, if I have to give him anything, he was a better public speaker. I mean, like, that's very old school politics as well, to be, like, just reading through notes the whole time you're doing a speech or whatever, whereas, like, Trump had no problem just saying whatever the fuck came into his head. So.
Well, and I know that, like, Obama, like, famously, like, read all of his speeches off a teleprompter, even though he was a great orator, he was, prepared, and he was reading speeches all the time, and he didn't do a lot of stuff, like, off the cuff, but he sounded like even though he was reading those lines, it sounded like he was coming from the heart. And Biden's just sitting there, he's squinting, he's got his papers, you can hear him rustling, and he's just kind of like, so the prime, the vice, wait, who are you? Me and okay, so infrastructure, and it's really difficult.
Well, he's like an 8th grader showing you he did his homework.
I see this here, But, yeah, it's funny with the infrastructure thing, though, too, because I was just mad, like, I saw a little clip of AOC talking about how this bill, which is like $3 trillion, like, isn't enough. It's not doing enough. We need to do more. We need to do more. And it's like, why is it always... I don't understand why they can't, like, figure out what they, like, because there's something in that bill where people are like, yeah, we need roads and bridges. So how about you dumbasses just make that bill about the roads and bridges, pass that. Then work on the next thing that you agree on. Pass that. And do it, like, one thing at a time. Why does it got to be all or nothing? Like, well, if we can't get the minimum wage up.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry to ramble it, but yeah, if we can't get the minimum wage up in this bill, I'm sorry, but you gotta do it another time. That's all there is to it.
Well, and that does, I feel like, hinder a lot of shit. And I was talking with my dad about this fairly recently, about how, like, a lot of the problems with these bills is that they try to jam in like 100 different things into one bill. It's like, where I agree with you. It's like, why not just handle one thing at a time? And try to put this through, then try to put this through. And, like, it does kind of come back on certain, like, people's voting history, when it's like, it's so easy to say, well, they voted against a raise in minimum wage. Well, it's like, yeah, but that raise in minimum wage was part of a bill that also wanted to, like, hurt these people. So, like, I couldn't put this through because this other part was in there. It's like, so, like,
right. And they slip shit like that into bills just to make people look bad sometimes too, so that they can say that, like in the elections, like, oh, they voted for this. I will say, I do know there's one reason why they're trying to put so much into the one bill is because they're trying to pass it as budget reconciliation, which means they only need a simple majority in the Senate rather than needing to get like 15 Republican senators, to come over and agree with the Democrats. But that just shows you right there, okay, so now you're using like sneaky tactics to try to get all these things, just like swept through. How about you actually just do the right thing where we try to get everybody, working together? And I'm sure it's a lot easier said than done, but it just is so ridiculous. Like, pass the good stuff. Worry about the rest later. And if the good stuff goes well and people are like, wow, this is great. Look at our roads are getting fixed. This is getting fixed. Then people go, hey, look at the American public actually, wants us to do stuff. And here's another idea. I don't think we should call it taxes so much anymore. I think we should call it like paying the bills. So like if your roof is leaky on your house, it sucks that you got to pay that money to fix the roof, but you got to get the money from somewhere. A lot of people are going to have to borrow it. Just sort of like, oh, we're going to borrow more money. We're going to have to borrow more money. We're going to have to raise taxes to pay. Yeah, because shit's broken and we got to fix it. And it costs money. So it's like you're just paying your bill. You're not getting taxed. You're just paying your bill in society. I think we need to reframe the whole position in this shit. And one quick last political idea, and we'll get off of that. Here's my idea for minimum wage, and this is how we get it increased. We don't talk about minimum wage to the hour. I think minimum wage should be 25 cents a minute. That sounds fair, right? Who isn't worth 25 cents a minute?
It's a shame that in my head I'm like, is that high? But like,
it's 15. It's 15 an hour is what it comes out to, but it just sounds cheaper.
Is that what? Okay, yeah. I suppose, yeah.
25 cents a minute. Oh, okay.
It's like penny for your thoughts, but a little more costly.
Well, inflation. That phrase came out probably in the 1700s.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, inflation's that reminds me, and I know we're trying to get off politics, but like, I know I shared you that article the other day of how they're trying to add like 4 more Supreme Court justices to conveniently outweigh the majority of Republicans, which like I get it, but it just seems like it's like never going to end. It's like no matter who's in office, it's like, well, like, okay, so in 4 or 8, well, I don't think Biden's going to live 8 more years. So let's just say in 4 more years when there's another Republican in there, they're going to add 4 more Republicans. It's just going to keep inflating like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Until there's 100 fucking Supreme Court justices. Like,
that's the whole problem with everything now. It's just like how, since we can't pass any bills, the president does everything via executive order, which means when the next president comes in, they just cancel all the executive orders. So instead of like getting things progressively done, it's just, do it, then do it over, then do it over with the next guy, and just keep fucking everybody else over. You're right. Like, when is it going to stop? The only thing that I'll give credence to with that is, and really what it's got to be, is that they don't deserve lifetime nominations. That's the fix. The fix isn't to do with more justices. Oh, yeah. We need to get rid of the lifetime nomination, in my opinion.
Term limits for everyone, like for senators, just term limits in general for any fucking political body is so much more. It's so important that it really needs to be more of a thing.
Right, and like, okay, so there are good arguments against term limits for the reasons that what they don't want to have is a judge knowing that they're only going to be in power for, say, 10 years, and then you have a company like that ends up offering them a really good job after they lose their post, and they end up making decisions to, pad their future career. So they want people to be able to, like, stay in that job, but we all know that, like, most of these people now, they're not happy just being politicians, like they want to get the speaking engagements afterwards. They want to be able to work with these banks and shit like that, and like do whatever the fuck they do. But that is the reason why they theoretically are better, or are supposed to be better to not have, is so you don't have people doing that. But
I mean, like, I guess I see that, or I see what you're saying, rather, but like, I also kind of think of it in the opposite direction, and maybe this is putting a little too much faith in politicians, probably. But
you heard of Matt Gaetz?
Like if someone has, yes, I have. Everybody has at this point. But like, if I feel like it's harder for a politician to be bought and sold for the rest of their life if they have term limits, because to get into office, they have to, at least you would think originally, they have something that they want to accomplish. So like something good that at least something they think is good that they want to get done. So like if they only have so long to do it, they're not going to be bought out to like just side with one thing or the other for the rest of their fucking life if they just have that option.
Right,
you know
right.
I mean?
Yeah, I think you're putting too much faith into them for sure. But then, oh boy, excuse me. One last one on that with the Supreme Court justices is actually, I want to say that we have changed the number of justices on the Supreme Court like 3 or 4 times throughout the course of history, but it hasn't been done since like the late 1800s or something. But there is actually precedence for changing the number of people on the Supreme Court. That it's not in the Constitution that it is supposed to be 9. So that is something kind of like, worth thinking about. But yeah, I don't know. I've actually, with the nominations that came out of Trump, like I don't think they're great, but they've made some pretty surprising rulings a few times where I was like, wow, they actually seem to be judging these things down the middle. Maybe we don't put more faith into politicians, but we should maybe put more faith into judges. Because it's a little bit of a different sort of thing, than the politician. But fucking Matt Gaetz, that big-headed motherfucker, Jesus Christ. I've never seen a man with such weak shoulders that wants everybody to know that he just has, like, the biggest head and the smallest shoulders on fucking earth. Like, I got small shoulders, and I'm constantly trying to make them look bigger, And this guy's just like, give me the smallest suit possible. I just want everything to look out of whack and fucking ridiculous. Show my little lady shoulders.
I've met dudes like that, man. Just guys with gigantic old noggins, and the rest of them is just a rail. But
yeah, his suits are funny.
Well, you're born with what you're born with, I suppose.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, why does he got to tailor his suit to just really make it like, just make it so I would be, what I'm saying is if I were him, I'd be putting like shoulder pads on, and like just trying to make them look like this, like, well, people listening to us can't see my hands, but I'm making, very wide hands. Like, I'd just make them massive, like David Byrne's giant suit.
Oh, yeah. I'll lend him my dad's denim jacket that I got, which it has like the padded shoulder pads in it. So like I wear it and I look like I'm like straight out of a fucking I look like one of the punks in Terminator.
Hell yeah! So yeah, boy, that was quite the rant. After you just asked me what I've been up to, so I guess it's time for me to reciprocate and wonder what you've been up to.
Oh, dude, I'm excited to tell you about this. I got a new diet plan that I've really carefully thought out. So what it is I'm going to eat just one TV dinner a day. This is my plan, and it sounds gross, really, and it kind of is. But honestly, they're not that bad. And as far as like cost effectiveness. They're 4 for $5. These banquet meals. They're only like 350 to 380 calories. Like not that many carbs. Like it's actually like feasibly a good plan. Sodium. It's
that's the problem.
Pick our battles.
That's the problem. Is the sodium.
Yeah, especially since I got high blood pressure. I'm supposed to kind of avoid that shit. But again, what's worse for my heart? Being 50 pounds overweight or just a little bit of extra sodium in the one meal a day that I eat? Like, come on, let's weigh this out here.
I'm going to say it's the latter, actually. I'm going to say it's the latter. Eating one TV dinner a day for your entire nutrition is maybe not worse for your heart, but worse for your overall health. I'm going to make a very bold statement and say that I think that's worse for you. Yeah. But,
well, I'm not going to do it for the rest of my life. I'm just doing it for a while, to like slim down. And then I could worry about the better, the better habits once because part of it really is training myself to not be so impulsive. Like as far as like just I'll have this and then I'll have this and just not thinking about it. So like I'm trying to put something in place where I'm just like, you don't get to just snack on all this shit all day. Not that I like have a huge appetite really for a big guy. I don't eat a lot, but like it's more about just the scheduling of just like, this is what you get at this time, and that's it. Like,
well, may
don't
I
fuck around with it.
recommend